What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks. Today we have a very special video for you. My wife Katie has graciously allowed us to use some of her battle footage here in this video, and we're going to kind of analyze some mistakes that she made. Just because you make mistakes doesn't mean that you suck at the game. There's just maybe some lack of knowledge in some places, or some gameplay mistakes that are taking places that we just need to correct a little bit. So these battles are done in rank 8. Her rating was around 1900. So let's take a look at some of these battles, and hopefully we can all learn from this together. So huge shout out to Katie for letting me be able to do this. Make sure we're treating her nice in the comments there. Everyone makes mistakes here, and we're all trying to learn from this. So let's get into this. She's rolling with a Skarmory, Vigoroth, and Whiscash team for a lot of this, for the battles team. So it's a horrible lead. She immediately swaps into Vigoroth, which is the correct play. Out comes Swampert. Okay, right here, in every single neutral scenario, you need to go straight Body Slam because it's more energy efficient. You get Stab on it, it's a better move than Bulldoze, and it's very crucial that Vigoroth wins back switch advantage here, because we need to ensure that the Skarmory does not get aligned with that Bastiodon. So this is very crucial. We have to go down 2 shields, which is not ideal at all. We're going to come out of this with a huge shield deficit, but the opponent is allowing us to regain switch advantage. But we had to use 2 shields there, when in reality we only needed to use 1. And then right there, we just completely gave up switch advantage. Yes, Skarmory is able to catch this energy here, but look what happens. Bastiodon comes right back out to switch lock the Skarmory. So she made a really great play by taking out the Swampert with Vigoroth. But then she should have just let Vigoroth go down. This would allow Skarmory to handle Medicham, and it would allow Whiscash to handle Bastiodon. Those are solid hard counters right there. But the alignment is not going to work out because we gave up switch advantage there. She wanted to avoid being farmed down by the Medicham. So should have just let it go down. And so now this is going to be a pretty tough match to come back. As you can see, obviously the Whiscash is going to be able to take out this Bastiodon, but Medicham's going to come out. And it's going to be pretty rough. So oftentimes, alignment is everything in these GBL matches, especially when you're dealing with such hard counters. So it's very crucial that if you have a horrible lead like we had there, Skarmory into Bastiodon, you need to regain switch advantage, and once you have regained it, make sure you maintain switch advantage. So after you've won that secondary matchup, let your Pokemon go down and then allow the counters to kind of work themselves out. So that's a big thing to think about in these matchups for sure. Whiscash is going to go down here. I think there's a couple battles in here where we get some surrenders. Katie surrenders or her opponent surrenders, so I think there's a decent number of those. Okay, Skarmory into Clefable is a good matchup for us. They switch in Altaria, which is very interesting. This team doesn't have a direct counter to Altaria, so what I would have done there, I would have stayed in with Skarmory to throw a Sky Attack on the Altaria, and then I actually would have brought out Vigoroth against this Altaria, because as you're going to see, this Whiscash Altaria matchup is bait dependent, and if you fail the bait like she did right there, it's very hard to win. Now Katie has to commit her second shield here, and at this point, since she committed the second shield, she should have baited again, because the opponent is obviously going to shield here to try to match shields. So the failed bait, and then the opponent shields up the main move really bad. Here, she should have tried to build up more energy to try to bluff the Blizzard again, because the opponent knew that it's just going to be a Mud Bomb. She switches into Skarmory, which is an interesting choice, giving up switch advantage again. But since the opponent brought in Altaria onto Skarmory, we can kind of assume that they don't have a very hard Skarmory answer. So this is an okay move here. They're staying in here. Sky Attack is really not going to do that much. It's the Dragon Breath damage that really adds up over time on Skarmory. But now, since shields are down, we don't have a response to that Clefable. And Whiscash would have been able to handle Clefable a little bit better. Vigoroth's counters are going to be resisted, and then Katie leaves the match there. So I would have thrown some energy on that Altaria first. Okay, Marshtomp is very interesting. It's essentially like a Swampert, but a little bit bulkier, and it doesn't have access to Hydro Cannon, so it's not going to hit as hard. The thing is, we don't have a direct counter to this Marshtomp. So kind of just going to play it out. The opponent does commit the first shield, so now Katie's going to match shields. I think this is a great play. Always try to get your opponent to shield first, and then matching shields. However, it looks like in the 2 shield, Marshtomp is going to take this. So I would have recognized that and not shielded that up, because as you're going to see, another Surf is going to be coming through, and it's barely not going to do enough damage to take us out. So knowing that we were going to lose that matchup, I would have just taken the shield advantage there. Surf's not enough to take us out, and then they're able to farm, which is not great. We could have been up a shield here, because now we have to bring out Vigoroth into this thing. And if we had a shield, we'd be able to shield up this Surf and preserve a little bit of health, because that still does a decent amount of damage. And we can't even counter this thing down, because it's a little bit bulkier than Swampert. Pretty unfortunate. They have a Torterra. Again, if we had a shield to preserve some health from that Surf, we would have more of a fighting chance here. But this Torterra, the Razor Leaf, is just going to shred the Whiscash. So that was a tough opening scenario. But I would have tried to recognize that in the 2 shields, it was looking like we were going to lose. Just take the shield advantage and then play it out from there. It's not worth switching out in that opening matchup, because we don't have a super great response to that. So good game there. Always something we can learn from that. Skarmory into Sableye. Okay, in even shielding scenarios, I'm pretty sure this is favorable for Sableye, because the Shadow Claw damage and Foul Play damage really adds up over time. I think it's a pretty close fight though. I like that Katie's not shielding first here. Always trying to make her opponent shield first. She's over farming here a little bit. I'm down with that. And the opponent does shield. Right there, it looks like she was going to try to switch. I would have possibly shielded here, because we definitely could have gotten to another Sky Attack. But we're going to take the shield advantage, but this is way too healthy of a Sableye. Even though the Shadow Claws are resisted, we definitely... the Foul Plays are going to hurt. So we have to shield. Not super great. In that opening matchup, I would have committed a shield on the Skarmory. Try to just match my opponent's shields and play it out from there. Now we're going to switch out Whiscash, and I think at this point she was getting a little frustrated, if I remember correctly. I think she was doing these battles a couple days ago on the couch and getting a little frustrated. And in the back is Tropius, so I think she leaves the match here. In that opening matchup, I would have matched my opponent's shields and kind of played it out from there, because the Sableye was way too healthy. Oh man, Alolan Raichu. Okay, she's now rocking her Skarmory, Alolan Raichu, Meganium team. So she does mirror with her Alolan Raichu, which is a great play, because you don't want to bring out Meganium. Even though that is going to be the best response to Alolan Raichu, you need to save your hardest counters for the end game. Since we're not running Grass Knot on our Alolan Raichu, this is kind of rough, and it also means that Alolan Raichu is going to lose the mirror, but it does provide some neutral coverage if Alolan Raichu gets stuck in Grass-type matchups. So we do commit both shields here. I think that's totally fine. We're going to throw this Psychic now, and we get both shields, but this Alolan Raichu is going to get taken out. Looks like she was going to try to swap there. Now, there is a case to be made that we should bring out Skarmory right here, because Skarmory has such a horrible matchup against Alolan Raichu, but she actually ends up bringing out Meganium, and now the opponent makes a huge mistake. They switch lock their Altaria, so now Meganium essentially gets to avoid Whiscash. The opponent was worried about getting farmed down, just like Katie was worried about getting farmed down in one of those previous games where she gave up switch advantage. So, because the opponent gave up switch advantage, we're now going to be able to win this, because Skarmory is going to be able to get on to this Altaria. Meganium avoids the Altaria. Meganium has an amazing matchup with Whiscash. Totally fine. Meganium can even tank a Blizzard, especially since her Meganium is very good at PvP IVs. Out comes out Alolan Raichu again. But Meganium is essentially going to take out this Raichu and the Whiscash. Now, since they're running Grass Knot and not Psychic, we resist everything. I would have gotten in a couple more Vine Whips, because we need stored energy to threaten this Whiscash. We're definitely in Blizzard range now, and the opponent, for some reason, doesn't think that they're going to get to a Blizzard. So they throw a Mud Bomb here. I definitely think they could have got to a Blizzard, but Katie should have overfarmed a little bit more on that Alolan Raichu, just to ensure that we'd have enough energy to really threaten that Whiscash. Alright, Umbreon against Skarmory. This is a favorable matchup for Umbreon just because of the bulk and the spamminess of these Foul Plays. But let's see how we play this out. She's not shielding first, which is a great move. You never want to be in a shield disadvantage if you don't have to. Always kind of force your opponent to shield first and then gauge how we're going to play this match out from there. No shield again. That's totally fine. The Umbreon did reach the yellow before Skarmory did. However, the Umbreon is going to be able to get to another foul play, and that is going to be enough to take out the Skarmory. So the opponent actually shields there, but I think this is totally okay that she doesn't shield this because we would have been outpaced to another foul play. She brings out a Alolan Raichu for the most aggressive farm down I think I've ever seen in my life. The snarl damage from Umbreon is hitting for super effective, but at this point, she has fully committed to fast moving down this Umbreon. We have to commit 2 shields, not super great, but this is a very loaded Alolan Raichu now, which can threaten a lot of the meta. Out comes Whiscash, not super great. We're throwing a Psychic here. Now what I would do is immediately switch into Meganium after throwing the Psychic right here, or maybe keep some stored energy with my Wild Charge, because now this Raichu is going to get taken out. And as we will see, in the back is, I think it's a Skarmory in the back. If we would have stored a Wild Charge and then switched out, yeah, we would have been able to one-shot this Skarmory. And then, you know, it still would have been difficult to take out the Whiscash, but it at least would have been a closer game. This game was really all about alignment there, and because we lost the opening matchup and the opponent had very solid hard counters to our backline, nothing we could really do there. We could have made it a little bit closer if we would have stored up that Wild Charge and swapped out, but that's alright. Skarmory into Altaria. This is a favorable lead, but if Altaria takes us to the 2 shield, Altaria is actually going to win. So we're going to throw the Sky Attack here, see if the opponent wants to shield. Ah, they let that one go through. So no matter what, Skarmory is going to be able to take this now, because that Altaria had to shield it up that first one if they want to take this to the 2 shields. Going to throw this Sky Attack. Let's see if we're going to get some shields here. The opponent does shield, so Katie is most likely going to opt to mirror shields. And then at this point, she actually commits to farming down this Altaria, which is a great play. She now has enough energy for the Sky Attack. She's going to immediately Sky Attack whatever comes out. It's a Whiscash, so this is really great. It's going to hit for pretty strong neutral damage. We actually get the last shield there. Great. We don't switch out. We just let the Skarmory go down. Meganium's going to be a solid response to this. Even a Blizzard would not one-shot us, but the opponent gives up switch advantage and successfully catches a Frenzy Plant, which is not great. Right there, I would have done a couple more Vine Whips with Meganium before switching out, but this team doesn't have the best response to Ferrothorn with our back line. Alolan Raichu kind of struggles against it, and Meganium struggles against it. However, Wild Charge should barely be enough to take this thing out. Barely not enough, geez, Ferrothorn is so bulky, but Katie did a great job of stacking back-to-back Wild Charges here. Going to be able to take out Ferrothorn. This Whiscash has to throw energy, because otherwise we're going to get to a Psychic, and that would actually probably be enough to take out Whiscash at that range. Mud Bomb comes through, out comes Meganium. We don't have any loaded energy, so we're going to get hit by a Blizzard here, I believe. The opponent does a really good job at energy management. We're able to survive it and barely get to this Frenzy Plant. That was a little closer than it needed to be, though. We should have stored up a little bit more energy on that Meganium before switching out, or just held on to that energy and not dumped it into the Ferrothorn. But good game there. Skarmory lead into Registeel. Really bad, but this team is designed to handle Reggie in the back. So we use Alolan Raichu as our safe swap. Oh man, Haunter's a really good response to this. And now this is a tricky scenario. Katie is thinking that she can fast move down this Haunter, and I would think the same. However, look what happens here. Simultaneous feint, and we're down a shield. Really bad. Now here, it's a guessing game, but I would bring out Meganium, because most likely my opponent is going to bring out the Pokemon that we've already seen, so they don't reveal their back line. So as you will see, if we would have brought out Meganium there, we would have had Meganium on Registeel, which is a better matchup. Still not the best, but Skarmory against Registeel is absolute trash. So, and I can't remember what they have in the back of this match, but I think it's something that Skarmory would have some play against. So Skarmory's going to go down. They still have 2 shields. Yeah, it was an Altaria, right? So we would have been able to get Skarmory on the Altaria and Meganium on Registeel, but it's a very tough call to decide what Pokemon to bring in. Okay, this is a really good lead for us. We need to maintain this alignment. Out comes Registeel. She switches in Meganium here, which I think is an amazing play, because Meganium has absolutely no play against Tropius. So she was thinking more about having the Meganium avoid the Registeel instead of thinking how good of a matchup the Meganium is on the Registeel. So I think that's a great play. The Registeel does shield up the Earthquake, which is unfortunate, so we're going to mirror the shields, have to shield up that Flash Cannon. At this point, because we had such a commanding lead, I think it would be wise to bait here, because the opponent really does not want their Tropius to be aligned to Skarmory. We know that. So I think what ends up happening here is, yeah, the Reggie double shields because we double shielded as well. So it's smart for the Reggie to double shield. We go for a Frenzy Plant here because we're not going to be able to get to an Earthquake. So we're just chipping it down, but now Meganium's going to go down. Alolan Raichu's going to kind of struggle against Tropius. We've lost that alignment now. We'll have to see what's in the back to see how this is going to play out here. She's going straight for the Wild Charge to avoid being hit by a charge move. I think this is good. Let's see what the opponent wants to bring out. There's the Tropius again. We switch into our Skarmory. We cleared the debuff on our Alolan Raichu, which is a really great play there. And it looks like the opponent does not have another response to this Skarmory. So, in that Meganium and Registeel matchup, because the opponent had such a horrible lead, it would definitely be worth trying to bait there. Especially since we had to commit our shields first, which is not great. It's a Toxicroak in the back. Skarmory's going to sweep. Very good games there. I hope this video can give you guys some insights onto some possible mistakes you might be making. Everyone can improve. You don't suck at Go Battle League. Don't worry about it. Everyone makes mistakes. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys like this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video.